Okay, we're going to have another video, and this is going to be a tutorial, and it's going to be about a book called The God of Rock, a Christian Perspective of Rock Music by Michael K. Haynes. And this book, like it says on the back, rock music. What is it really? And this man saved a lot of kids' lives. His, I guess, in-depth research on these bands informed a lot of parents on what their kids were listening to and how to bring their kids to another form of entertainment besides rock music, which was just damning them, and they didn't know it. But thanks to Michael, they were able to be completely relieved of it and saved. Okay, in this book, he warns about bands that your kids may be listening to, record albums they may be buying of these artists, and letting the parents know what these artists are really up to and filling their children's minds with. The first one would be the Allman Brothers band. Here is what he found out about those guys. The Allman Brothers band was formed in 1969 to the centerpiece of new record label. The group was built around the mournful blues style of Greg Allman and the obvious guitar ability of brother Dwayne Allman. The band's music is a complex blend of blues, rhythm and blues, bluegrass, country, southern bar boogie. Dwayne Allman was killed in a motorcycle accident, reportedly drug-related, in Macomb, Georgia on October 29, 1971. 1 year later, bassist Barry Oakley was killed in the same manner in approximately the same spot as Dwayne. They are buried side by side in Rose Hill Cemetery in Macomb, Georgia. This is certainly more than coincidental. In 1974, Greg Allman launched his own career. He began heavy involvement with heroin, which eventually led to the breakup of the group and a vicious drug scandal. They have since reformed to a certain extent, but remained a seedbed for personal disaster. The album, Brothers of the Road, has a giant mushroom on the cover depicting drugs. The blues are making us blue. Hush for a while. Words of Michael. Words of wisdom. The next band that he warns us of is Black Oak, Arkansas. Black Oak, Arkansas was once just a place. It would certainly have been better if it had been renamed only that. The group has very little to say for itself except for filthy album covers and raunchy sex lyrics. The band first came together in 1965. They were previously named Nobody Else. They were former high school rebels led by the singer Jim Dandy. Black Oak toured Great Britain in 1974 with Black Sabbath and afterwards became a high-grossing box office attraction unto themselves. In 1973, the group recorded the album Raunch and Roll, which uses the technique of backward masking in the song When Electricity Came to Arkansas. They say, Satan, 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 he is God, he is God, he He is God. This statement is immediately followed by a demonic laugh. There is also the chanting of prayers which are used in satanic worship. Please do not be so curious as to listen to this without the protection of the blood of Christ. The group owns tracts of land around Black Oak, Arkansas, and lives there. I thought Arkansas was full of white pines. Now, the next group that you really should be aware of if you're a parent of a child nowadays listening to rock music. And that group is Creedence Clearwater Revival. Every member of CCR was born in San Francisco, the Bay Area, and went to high school together. They formed a band called Blue Velvets in 1964 after signing a contract with a record company in early 1965. Their name was changed to the Gollywogs. Before having one of the largest series of hit singles of any group in the 60s or 70s, they cut a whole stir of flops. However, in a make-or-break effort, they changed their name to Creedence Clearwater Revival and literally exploded onto the music scene, becoming the most popular 50s-oriented white rock and roll band in existence. CCR was powered by the raspy voice and songwriting genius of John Fogerty. Fogerty wrote songs about drugs, the South, and sex. Not necessarily in that order. The CCR couldn't stand the pressure, greed, and phenomenal success. They broke up in 1972. They are beyond revival now. I hope some people like that. All right, here comes another warning. These rock groups. People have to be told about this stuff. It ain't right. The next group is Journey. Journey was formed in late 1973 by former members of the cultish band Santana. They made their debut in San Francisco on New Year's Eve, and their second gig was before a crowd of 100,000 at the Diamond Head Crater in Hawaii. This group has emerged as one of the 5 top straightforward rock concert bands in the current stadium rock phenomenon. Journey, this is beyond evil. It's hard to read, but I'm going to go through it for your benefit. Journey has fought an identity crisis from the beginning. It is difficult for the layman to tell the difference between them and several other groups of the same trend. However, Journey fans are smart and loyal. Numerous changes in the lineup have given them an edge and a niche for the purpose of identification. Whether the group winds up musically, one can be sure that their fans will be there to join them. Journey portrays emerging spacecrafts on their album. Steve Perry, vocalist, says they are hard rock and they can't be classed. But we educate our audience to the degree of class that we feel they need to still have a good time. Journey is educating sellout audiences from coast to coast without the support of press or advertising. Whose support is behind this group? Have a guess. Next group you got to be on the lookout for. Go through your children's record albums and see if this is in the collection. Kansas. The group Kansas was originally formed in Topeka, Kansas in the early 1970s, but never really got going until 1975 with its debut album Kansas. This band plays undistinctive, straightforward rock and roll in high decibel. In popularity, it is strictly due to constant touring. The album cover of Audiovision pictures stereo headphones personalized as nude women with extended tongues. This very provocative deception and depiction has several significant meanings. The extended tongue is a symbol of demon worship and sex. Demons and sex are seen as coming through the music. The album, Point of No Return, pictures a ship falling off the earth into a sea monster's mouth. The songs of Kansas fall into three main categories: the avocation of illicit sex, drugs, and rebellion. They were also the opening act at Jim Morrison's last concert. That right there should make you be aware of Kansas and beware of Kansas. And the last group I'm going to tell you about, you can find out about the others on your own, is Paul McCartney and Wings. Paul McCartney is clearly the most successful soloist of the former Beatles. Born in June 18th, 1942 in Liverpool, the ex-Beatle formed his own backup group in 1971. The band was called Wings and was assembled to aid McCartney on tour. The band was both a success and a failure. Wings could never muster the armies that were assembled by the enemy of the Beatles, and the Beatles are an enemy. They are an enemy of Christ. In this respect, they were a failure. However, McCartney continued to turn out the devastating message of the drug subculture. In this respect, they were successful. McCartney has been arrested several times on drug charges, the latest being in 1980 for possession of marijuana. This came upon the arrival in Japan for a Paul McCartney Wings concert. After spending several days in jail, he was expelled from the country and told, "You can never return." We could learn a lesson from this demonic Paul McCartney. Wings is an underground term for the first mainline injection of drugs. McCartney said in a Playboy interview that neither he nor the rest of the band of the original members believed in a God in the slightest. The older and little more wise, and the success of the Beatles must be reckoned with. I'm going to give you one more if I can find it. And it is a band that your crazier kids would be into. And this is going to be a pretty good warning. Look out for these guys in the record collection of your children. The Plasmatics. This band was formed in the late 70s in the heat of the New Wave movement. Look out for the New Wave movement. The only thing that is worth mentioning about them has to do with the bizarre on and off stage antics of their lead singer Wendy O. Williams. She's a mess. She has been arrested numerous times for lewd and lascivious behavior. She performs nude. She simulates sex acts with this is hard to read, with electronic equipment. Massages her lower parts constantly during performances and advocates the same from all who watch. She's asking the audience to participate with her when she does this disgusting stuff on stage. The album cover of their recent album, Beyond the Valley, pictures Wendy bare to the waist in every shot. 3 hours before their Hammersmith Odeon show in London, England, was to start, the Greater Council of London banned the Plasmatics and said, "We object to the blowing up of a car," said the spokesman. Blowing up of a car is part of these horrible people's act on stage. This group is typical of the degradation. It's hard to get through this, but I'm going to try. This group is typical of the degradation that the punk and new wave movement is churning up. Anything for a piece of the pie. Wendy O. Williams is certainly trying to cut her share. She recently said, "Why shouldn't I show off my tits? I've got a 34, 24, 34 figure." And show them off she does. Ho hum, Wendy. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. All right. This is the book. The author is Michael K. Haynes. Name of the book is The God of Rock, A Christian Perspective of Rock Music. This will tell you everything that's going on in your kid's bedroom. And hopefully, this book will lead you to have your kids listen to record albums by artists like this. This band will lead your children in the right direction instead of bands like Kansas and whatever Paul McCartney is up to. Good night.